are now listening to Season 3 of the VMX Show. Hey everyone, welcome to the penultimate episode of the VMX show for Season 3. This is episode 11. Just remind you guys the end of the season is coming next week. The season finale of the VMX show. A lot of people asking if they could be a guest on the season finale, but I actually have I have something planned. I have somebody that I want to get on here, but if that doesn't work out, it's a possibility that he may not be able to do it. I want to get Joe on here, from the John and Joe show to talk for a little bit next week. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm probably going to talk to him either today or tomorrow about it. Today being Sunday, that is. And we'll see what happens. And if not, we'll see what we can do about getting somebody else on here for the last episode. This episode, I have a lot of show for you, a lot of great news. Mostly it's going to be news. Don't actually have a guest this week. Decided to do it on my own this week. But I got a lot of great news, a lot of stuff to do with Nintendo. Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of confirmed rumors. At this point, I'm going to be talking about their new console near the end of the news block. I got your questions and comments. I got lots of great music. Speaking of which, started off the show with a nice little calm, jazzy tune from Kirby's Epic Yarn, which I've just started the other day. Well, yesterday, really. Kirby's Epic Yarn, that's Weird Woods, which is a very calming game, very, very relaxing, fun game. I mean, it's not difficult at all. You can't even die in it. And, of course, the aesthetic is very bright and colorful and cheerful and calming. But great game to just relax to, I would say, especially after playing through all of Dragon Age Origins and Awakenings and all the different add-ons for that I went through all that. It took forever. It was a load of fun, but nice to play something calming after that. I try to mix it up. Let's get to the questions and comments. Okay, here's one from Mr. Lover of Ganja. He says, I was wondering, how do you feel about the Scorpions retiring? Personally, I'm kind of bummed. People may not realize this, but the Scorpions are one of the oldest bands that are still touring. They're actually still on tour right now, supporting their album Sting in the Tail, which came out last year. It was one of the best albums of last year. This is also their farewell tour, because they announced shortly after Sting in the Tail was announced that would be their last album. But a lot of people know them because from the 80s they know songs like Rock You Like a Hurricane and Winds of Change that were really big hits. The Scorpions actually formed in 1965. Now, there's not a whole lot of original members. I think there's only 2 of them that were around in the 60s. But, yeah, they formed in 65. They didn't release an album until like 1972, I think, but they've been around for a really long time. They are truly talented and truly one of the greatest heavy metal acts in history. I was bummed when I first heard that the Scorpions were retiring. I was really bummed about it, especially that their previous album before that, Humanity Hour 1, was one of their best albums. And I felt that they had kind of rejuvenated themselves, and I thought that, you know, they were getting like not a second wind, but maybe a 4th or 5th wind. And then I heard Sting in the Tail, and as great as it is, listening to it, I definitely got the feeling that, yeah, it was a swan song. And a lot of people have asked the Scorpions, you know, like, why are you retiring? You look great. You guys look like you're having a lot of fun out there. And they basically said, you know, oh, we may look one way, but we feel another. They're old. I don't think they want to become the Rolling Stones, where they're just a joke when they play live. I saw them in concert. It was an amazing experience, but you could definitely tell that they were very tired. Even though they were so full of energy, I just get the feeling that they just passed out after the show. So there's that. Plus Klaus, the singer, he had the flu, and he told us that they were going to cancel the show that I was at because he was sick. But because the tickets sold so well, because they were sold out, they figured they better show up. But you could tell that he was hurting. He had the audience sing as much as possible, and his voice was really, really weak. Not by Klaus standards. He still sounded good, but you could tell that he was hurting and he was in pain and he was not having a good time. And, you know, as you get older, you just get sicker and sicker. And Klaus is one of those original members that when you have the flu when you're like 60 years old, you need to take care of yourself. You can't go around touring. You're not young anymore. So, yeah, I was bummed, but I feel it's probably for the best. I don't want them to start to become shitty like some bands do when they push it further than they should. It's a good question. Not video game related, but, I think Mr. Lover of Ganja knew that I would be able to answer that. Let's see. Vibonacci asks me, this is an interesting question. Yo, Necro, I just finished Oblivion. It was awesome. Would you suggest that I continue with Fallout 3 or with Dragon Age 1? Now, well, Dragon Age is a BioWare game. It's made by them, and it was published by EA. Very much a completely different game. That's something that, would be similar to sort of the later Baldur's Gate games, or even Mass Effect, although it's not as action-based as Mass Effect, and obviously it's a fantasy game. While Fallout 3 uses a refined version of the Gamebryo engine that was used on Morrowind and Oblivion, so it very much feels like Oblivion does. It was developed by Bethesda. So if you want more of the same, I would say to go to Fallout 3, but I personally, I've never played Fallout 3 because the Fallout games don't interest me as much. I like the fantasy stuff. I like the sci-fi stuff. The post-apocalyptic stuff, I'm not really that big into that. My friend Joey's really, really into that, and he loved Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. And he didn't like Oblivion, though, because he doesn't like the fantasy stuff. He liked Morrowind a little, but he really didn't like Oblivion, so that shows you what's going on there. So personally, my recommendation is if you want to play this sort of a refined version of Oblivion and sort of play the same type of game, play Fallout 3. I really like Dragon Age Origins. It's very different from the Elder Scrolls, of course, but I would recommend that personally as just being another very good fantasy role-playing game. So I am leaving it up to you, but I hope that you come away from this a little more informed than you were. Cybershocker455 doesn't seem to get it. He asks me this ridiculous question. Hey, do you accept question for the show? Yes, I do. See? Now you have only one episode left. You should have just asked the question. What is going on with that? I don't know. I felt I had to do that. I don't even know what he's talking about. Do you accept question? Yes, obviously. I read questions every day. But let's see what else we got. GamePlayer596 says, good show as always, Necro. Intro song had me confused for a bit, as it almost sounded like the old school Pokemon theme. And somebody else chimed in. Psyduke said, I wasn't the only one who thought that. I went and listened to it again, and near the very, very beginning of it, there is sort of a slight similarity, but really very different song. CoolVids19 says, my long-lost brother is actually my brother. Well, I would hope so. But he got taken away or kidnapped when I was 5, which is what he told me. We have the same last name. Okay. Thanks for the elaboration. I was hoping you would want to come on the show, but he didn't really contact me about that. He also says that he said bullshit when it was only PlayStation Network for Final Fantasy V. Well, I guess you don't have a PS3 or a PSP. I have the PSP, so I'll be able to get it. Dave Cornfan says, okay, that's not what he said. He says, great show as always, Necro. Nice to hear you're an Amon Amarth fan. Usually when I name a band I know to people, they don't like them or they don't know who they are, so that was cool. I could also hear the peeping that other guy said in his comment. It was a high-pitched beep, and it was constant during your interview. I listened to the VMX show on YouTube, but I've noticed it in past few episodes. I didn't mention it because it's not that noticeable. Yeah, after I got your comment, I listened to it again, and I turned up the volume really loud, and I was able to hear a very faint bit of feedback, and that's probably maybe the other guy that complained about it is very sensitive to that sort of thing, but it really isn't that noticeable unless you have the volume way up. Not really much I can do about that. That sort of happens. Shadow Reaver RX says, since someone else mentioned last week's intro music, I figure I'll throw a comment on it. A lot of people commenting on the intro music from last week. Did anyone think it sounded like the Zero theme from Mega Man X, like when the horns started in? Maybe it's just me. I think it just might be you. I kind of see the Pokemon similarity, but I really don't see the Mega Man X similarity. Cobra DVS says, alright, once again, great show. I gotta admit, I'm really liking this show. Good job. What is a sequel or reboot of a series that you would really like to see? I wouldn't mind seeing another Road Rash game. I think it would work really well on the Wii especially. Thanks. I guess it would. I'm not a huge Road Rash fan. Like, I'll play it and I'll have fun with it, but I'm not about to go out and buy it. Let's see. What would I like to see? You know, everything that I really want to see really kind of gets done already. I definitely want to see a sequel to Castlevania Lords of Shadow. So I guess we'll say that, because I really enjoyed that one. Future Gamer 24 says, great show, Necro, as always. What is your favorite Final Fantasy game of all time? And what do you think of the upcoming Final Fantasy Versus 13? Well, let me answer your first question first. My favorite... Okay, keep in mind that when I say my favorite, I'm not talking about which one I think is the best. I'm talking about which one is my favorite, and that's got to be the first one, the original Final Fantasy, because I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but I also enjoy playing it still. It doesn't really have much of a story, and you kind of let your imagination run wild as you're playing it. At least I did as a kid, and I still do to a certain extent today. Have this sort of story that goes on as I'm playing it. I bought this game over and over again. I got it for the NES back in the day. When it came out for PlayStation, I got it. When it came out for Game Boy Advance, I got it. And when it came out for PSP, I got it. That's my personal favorite. What do I think of Final Fantasy Versus 13? I'd love to be able to play it, but unfortunately it's exclusive only to the PlayStation 3, so I won't be able to play it until I get that console, which is not something that's going to be happening anytime in the near future. There is another game, Final Fantasy 13-2, that I'll be getting. That's coming out on Xbox 360. And there was another game that I was excited about called Final Fantasy Agito 13, which is coming on PSP, although that is now rebranded as Final Fantasy Type 0. So Versus, I'm sort of ambivalent towards it. It looks good, but I won't be able to play it, so, oh well, really. Not really getting my panties in a bunch about that. Let's see. Where was I? Monk237 says, yeah, I was a kid when Twin Peaks first came on, and I didn't find it wait until way later in life. No, that's not what he said. I did find it way later in life. You had mentioned games with a creepy tone to them at the top of the show, like Doom 64. Alan Wake is one of those games. I know you're busy, but if you get the chance, if you get the time to check out Alan Wake, or the show Twin Peaks for that matter, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I don't know, they don't really interest me. Really enjoyed the show this week. The VMX show is the best part of my Sunday nights at work. Oh, you gotta work on a Sunday? Man, that's harsh. Thanks for making them for us to enjoy. Well, you're welcome. I enjoy making them. I'm glad and it's so time consuming, so I'm glad you enjoy them. Nettlebox says the Nintendo 3DS story about catching a husband cheating is a fake. It was exposed as an April Fool's joke. The story doesn't make sense either. Okay, now I looked into this and it wasn't. I didn't see anything about it being exposed as an April Fool's joke. It was actually reported after April Fool's. So this is what he says. He says, unless the girl named her me mistress, a random woman's me showing up could occur simply from walking past a stranger with a 3DS. Okay, I don't think you were paying attention. She left it in the closet in her bedroom. So it shouldn't have had anything other than her me and maybe her husband. So if a female me shows up, obviously she has some questions. I don't know if it was fake because I looked into it and I couldn't find any confirmation of it. I was trying to be careful around April Fools, looking for fake news stories, and it is certainly possible that it's not a real news story, but it sounded real to me. It does make sense if you pay attention to the details, but I didn't see anything online about it being fake. It might be fake, but I thought it was amusing. It's certainly something that could happen. Okay, this guy, I've always had a hard time with his name. I think it's Prokletidaste. I assume that's how you say it. He says, one thing I love about commentaries is they help me speak English even more fluently. Okay. Glad to be of help. Moving on, Mega Zero says, oh, Necro, I was only looking for like $30 for the wireless adapter. It's old, so it's not the best, but it's something. Well, if you're only looking for, yeah, I'll probably contact you about that then. We'll see, what my financial system over the next couple of days is going to be. And I'll let you know about that. And I don't anticipate it being a problem. So, you know what? You know what would be best is if, well, I'll talk to you about it. Try an IM me or something if you have like an IM program like Skype or AOL Instant Message or something. And we'll talk about that more, because that's a very, very reasonable price. Meatboy5 says, hey, Necro, I got a Super Nintendo and got Turtles in Time, Street Fighter 2, and Earthbound. Turtles were great, but Street Fighter didn't. It just blacked out every time I tried it. I even tried rubbing alcohol and blowing in it. Oh, man, didn't I tell you guys not to blow on the cartridges? All right. I thought it was in the game, and then Earthbound would glitch and go crazy after the title screen. Again, I thought it was the game. Then I got another copy, but it did the same exact thing. I think it's the console. What do I do? Try to clean it. Now, you want to open that little door, get a Q-tip in there. Don't put any kind of like cleaning solutions on it or any kind of water. Just swab it out with a dry Q-tip. You want to go for the connectors, and then try it again. The fact that you said that multiple copies of the same game gave the same problem, but some games are working and some games are not, leads me to believe that the console might be broken. So if you continue to have these problems after cleaning it, I would swap it for another console. I've mentioned this in my series, which you may not have seen on YouTube, which was a look at the Nintendo consoles. When I talked about the Super NES, or rather, actually, when I talked about the NES, I pointed out that was the same NES that I had as a kid, that I got for my, I think my 9th birthday, and it still works. While the Super NES was a replacement that I got when I was like 16, I got the Super NES for my birthday also, I think, or maybe it was for Christmas. I think it was my 11th or 12th birthday, and I got the Super NES, and it stopped working a few years later, and I replaced it. I went to a TV repair shop, and I just swapped it. He took that one, and I guess he was going to repair it and then sell it, and then I took one of his, and it only cost like $20, and I would imagine that getting a Super NES today might be a little bit more difficult. But if cleaning the actual console doesn't work, and don't blow on it, please. The moisture in your breath causes the copper connections to corrode. It makes it more difficult for the games to work. Get a new console. and test it before you actually buy it. Insist on that. And anytime you're buying an old console like a Super NES, you should test it with a few games before you actually go ahead and purchase it. Nightwing 45304, I guess he was talking about this. Yeah, I played a Metroid Fusion song. See, this guy doesn't get it. Let me explain it to him. It's from Metroid Fusion. I think the main sector theme. I love that game so much. I'm glad you did. I did too. I told you guys, don't comment it. I told you at the end of the song where it's from. So you don't win anything. I mean, I said it in the show. So I just thought that might be fun if I played a song and you guys would try and see if you knew what it was. And at the end of the song, I told you what it was. Poonergy says, "Hey Necro, I wanted your opinion on Lufia Curse of the Sinistrals for the DS. Have been wanting to get it, and I would like your opinion on it if you've played it." I have played it. I haven't played through it because I got distracted by Dragon Quest VI. But I played a good amount of it, and I have to say it's a good game. I prefer the Super NES version. This one's action-based. It plays sort of like an Ys game. And the problem for me was that I just got off of playing Ys 7 for the PSP, which was much better because it had better control. So I thought it was a little clunky. It has a nice thing where you can switch your character at any time. You get 6 characters instead of 4. And the character redesigns are fun. The game is very fun if you've played the original. I mean, music is spot on. The whole story, it's updated in a new and interesting way. But I definitely prefer the Super NES version. So I would say it's good, but I don't know if it's rush out and get it good. I enjoyed it. As a Lufia fan. For someone who's coming from outside, you might want to maybe rent it first or something to see if you like it. The Alley Rat says, "Hi Necro, I just wanted to know if you play any instruments." Yeah, I play the skin flute. No, I'm joking. I don't play any instruments. Really enjoy the season. Sad to see it end. Well, you got one more episode after this episode. So you got 2 more. You're listening to this one, and hopefully, and then you got one more after that. And then since your name is new to me, I assume you haven't been around that long, my channel. So I'm going to be uploading the VMX show season 1 for the 6-week. I'm taking 6 weeks off before season 4. Every week, I'll be uploading 2 episodes of season 1. So for people who didn't get to hear it. Pyote says, "Good show again, Necro. I got some money for my birthday, and I wanted your opinion on a good RPG for the DS like a Dragon Quest or maybe Lufia. I was wondering if you could point me in the right direction as someone new to those like me. Definitely get Dragon Quest 9. There's 5 there's 5. There's 5 Dragon Quest games. Actually, there's 6. See, look at me, I'm babbling. There's 6 Dragon Quest games you can get. There's 4, 5, 6, 9, and then there's Joker, Monsters Joker, and then there's Rocket Slime. The one you want is Dragon Quest 9. Definitely get that. You might want to look into the Zelda games. Phantom Hourglass was really good. I haven't played Spirit Tracks, though. Lufia, I just talked about that, so you know my opinion on that. Also, if you can find them, very difficult to find, but there's a series of games called Etrian Odyssey that are really good. There's 3 of them. And what else? There was something else I wanted to... Oh, if you're into strategy, you might want to check out the Fire Emblem game, which is really cool. Moving on, Azia's Light says, "Hey Necro, okay, yeah, I just wanted to, this isn't something that I would normally read out, but in case anybody else experienced this problem. Hey Necro, the download link won't work. It looks like the website is no longer the Crooked Step anymore. Did the owner lose the rights? Any chance you'll have it available in the future to download?" That was my fault. I let the domain lapse. I fixed it. Everything should be back up. So if you had a hard time downloading or streaming the MP3 version of the show, it's working now. So, sorry about that. That was my fault. Chris Collett222 says, "Hey Necro, I was wondering in the future that me and you and Armageddon Time could do a thing for YouTube where we just talk about games and listen to the music and rate the game on our thoughts from playing the game." I don't know. I already do so much. I don't know if I want to take on like a whole new thing. If you want to be the one that kind of spearheads it, and you could be in charge of that, and maybe I'd be willing to appear as like a guest guy, but I don't want to have to sit there and just have another thing that I need to encode and upload. If you want to do something for your channel, I'll help you out, and you'd have to ask Jesse if he's interested. And finally, Doughboy Langelis asks me, what are my favorite Dream Theater songs? And I hate to be a bastard about this, but Dream Theater is not spelled the way you spell it. It's not. Theater is E-R at the end, not R-E. Okay? I know that in the world of, like, when you talk about a theater, it's interchangeable, but the actual band, it's E-R at the end. My favorite songs from them, I like the epics. Octavarium is probably my favorite song from them. A Change of Seasons was my favorite song from them for a long time, until Octavarium came out. In the Presence of Enemies, The Count of Tuscany. I like the long ones. I do like the shorter ones, though. I did like, A Rite of Passage and Wither and Forsaken and Constant Motion and all that. Really, I like all their songs, but those are the ones that I mentioned, Octavarium and A Change of Seasons and In the Presence of Enemies, probably my favorite. Repentance was a really big favorite for me. From the older ones, The Killing Hand is a huge favorite. Lifting Shadows Off a Dream. The Mind Beside Itself. Sweet was really good. So those, I think I mentioned enough. Those are my favorites. So before we get to the news, let's play a little music for you. And let's see. I played the Kirby's Epic Yarn. Let's make it a Wii thing, because I got a lot of news about the Wii. So let's play music only from Wii games. And we're going to play that game again. I'm going to play this song, and let's see if you know what it is. Don't comment. Don't tell me in the comments what it is, because I'm going to tell you after the song is over what it is. But just let's see. Let's play a little game just for a little fun. See if you know what it is. At the end of the song, I'll tell you. Here we go. Did you guess it? If you guessed that was from The Conduit, well, you were correct. That's what that was from. Conduit, a great first-person shooter for the Wii by Sega. Sequel coming out this Tuesday. Always wanted to do it like that. Tuesday. I like the whole Tradio thing going, So let's get into the news. Got a lot of news here to talk about, and a lot of really kind of interesting news to talk about, so let's get on that. So here, let's talk about Super Street Fighter IV Arcade Edition. Last week on the show, I confirmed that it is coming to home consoles, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, but that it will be downloadable content. I'm here with an update on that, telling you that it will be downloadable content, available for $14.99, and it will be available on June 7th for Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network. But if you are one of the people that wants a full retail disc, it will also be available as a retail disc, available June 24th. There will also be a PC version sometime in July, so that's pretty cool. So, basically, I guess they're trying to do it all. They're doing it on the PC, they're doing downloadable content, they're doing the retail disc. Wow, why not, right? It's kind of crazy, but there you have it. That's what's going on with... hopefully that'll be my last story for a while on Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, but I do have another story. Capcom is now claiming that the Street Fighter 4 series ends with the Arcade Edition. Do I believe them? No, I do not. Well, Scott Killian, he's a community manager at Capcom. Here's a quote from him. He says, "The plan is this is the end of Street Fighter 4. Arcade Edition will be the end of Street Fighter 4. What comes next, we'll see, but we aren't planning any more Street Fighter 4s. This is the same thing that they said after Super Street Fighter 4 came out, and then we had the 3D edition, the Arcade Edition, and now the home console version of the Arcade Edition. So, I don't know if I really believe that. Will there be an Arcade Edition update for the 3D one? I mean... we'll see what happens. I know that they're going to be working on Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but, maybe there'll be a Super Street Fighter Cross Tekken, who knows. But, I don't believe that this is the end, because they've said it before. Last week I did a report of leaked release dates for 3DS games. Of course, don't know what's confirmed there, but I can confirm that The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D Edition will be coming out June 19th. I've seen it. It looks amazing. There's a lot of improvements, not only to the graphics, but the textures. There's some gameplay tweaks. Of course, there's the whole 3D thing, and it includes the Master Quest. So there's also some redesigned enemies, things like that. So pretty cool stuff. June 17th will be the release for Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for Nintendo's 3DS. Here's some news from Activision about the Guitar Hero series. They say it's not dead, it's just sleeping, which is kind of what I predicted when I did the news story, that they were stopping the Guitar Hero series, that we would see it in the future, that they were just giving it a rest. So here's a quote from Dan Winters of Activision. He says, "Actually, just to clarify, we're just putting Guitar Hero on hiatus. We're not ending it. We're releasing products out of the vault. We'll continue to sustain the channel. The brand won't go away. We're just not making a new one for next year, that's all." The original statement was, due to continued declines in the music genre, the company will disband Activision's publishing Guitar Hero business unit and discontinue development on its Guitar Hero game for 2011. So they're just putting it on hold for now, which is what I figured. Do you guys remember Wii Play? It was a collection of minigames similar, I guess, to Wii Sports, except without the fun. Wii Play was a big seller mostly because it came with a free controller, so that was a pretty big deal. Now, that's about the last game you'd expect to actually get a sequel, but there is one coming along. It's called Wii Play Motion. It's coming to the Wii sometime in 2011, and once again, the big selling point will be that it does come with a controller, and as you probably guessed from the whole name, Wii Play Motion, it is coming with a Motion Plus controller. So I might actually pick that up just to get the Motion Plus controller and to try, to get used to it. I'll play the minigames probably once and then forget about it. Wii Sports Resort used the Motion Plus, but that was the one that you clip on. These are the controllers that have it built in, so that's pretty cool. So, don't have an actual release date of it. And by the way, the American version of Wii Play Motion will come with a black controller. If that matters to you, that's what's going on. In Europe, they're getting a red one. I don't really know. It doesn't matter to me what color the controller is, as long as the thing works. Speaking of the Wii, most of the news is going to have to do with the Wii. The Wii is dropped in price. Originally, I was going to report on this as a rumor that it was going to happen. Earlier this week, I saw a news report that the Wii would drop to around $150 around May 15th. And of course there was all the online idiots saying it's because the Wii's not selling well and they're trying desperately to boost sales, but honestly, it's not why. We'll be getting into the why a little bit later. People have been, and I've said this before, people have been wondering why the Wii's sales are not strong like they were like 4 years ago. Because everybody already has one. It's sold to market saturation. Anybody who wants a Wii pretty much has one. So at this point, it's dribs and drabs. Back then the 360 wasn't selling as well, and right now it's the biggest console. The PlayStation 3 was selling really poorly back then, and now it's starting to come into its own and sort of playing catch-up. So, basically everybody basically chose the Wii first, and now they already have one, so they're buying the other consoles. But, they got a new console coming. I might as well just say it right now. I'm going to be talking about it a little bit later. I got more news stories to do before I talk about the new Nintendo console that's coming out possibly next year. Got a lot of news about that. But of course, when you announce a new console, what do? You drop the price of the old one. The price actually will be $169.99, so basically $170, making it a $30 price drop. Not too big, but if anybody's out there, stragglers who still don't have a Wii, now's your chance to get it. Best Buy will be the first to promote the price. So keep an eye out for that. Should be actually tomorrow. And Target will also be doing it very soon. So keep an eye out on those. There's a new Soul Calibur game coming out, Soul Calibur 5. Yes, isn't that cool? We've all been waiting for Soul Calibur 5. The only thing we know about it is that Siegfried, also known as Nightmare, was the main character of Soul Calibur 4. He will not be the focus. He will not be the main character of this game. All that they'll say is that it'll somebody who is deeply involved with the two swords, of course, talking about the Soul Calibur and the Soul Blade. Not everybody thinks of Siegfried as being like the main character of the whole series, but a lot of people see him as sort of the main character, and especially that Soul Calibur 4 did focus on him a whole hell of a lot. And he's one of the few characters that has been in all 5 games. Of course, Soul Blade being the first one, Soul Calibur, then Soul Calibur 2, 3, and 4. So we'll see. They're trying to get a bigger budget from Namco to work on Soul Calibur 5. It hasn't been officially unveiled, but we'll probably see it at this year's E3. So there we have it. There's a new Kirby game coming out. People were wondering whether there would be a sequel to Kirby's Epic Yarn for the Wii, or maybe a Kirby game for the 3DS, but Nintendo said they're going to be targeting the largest market in the world, the owners of the Nintendo DS. So there will be a new Kirby game coming out for the DS. It's called Atsumete Kirby, which would translate to Gather Kirby. I'm assuming it'll have a different title if it comes to America, which it probably will. Kirby doesn't actually suck up his enemies and absorb their powers. Instead, you control up to 10 separate on-screen Kirbys at once, which you gain by eating fruit. So you make the move with the stylus, hold down the pen on the screen, you'll make a star that the Kirbys will run towards, or double tap and they'll run towards it, and when they reach your stylus, they'll latch on and you can move them around the screen directly. So it kind of has a strategy element to it, reminds me slightly of a Pikmin sort of thing. I always hoped that there would be a Pikmin-like offshoot for the DS. Of course, they're still working on Pikmin 3 for the Wii. So I think that Pikmin 3 is going to be like the last big Wii game before the next console comes out. Kind of like how the last big DS game before the 3DS came out was Pokemon Black and White. Or maybe you could say it was Okamiden, but as for, really big games, I would say Pokemon. Of course, there's still DS games coming out, and I'm sure there'll be Wii games coming out after Pikmin 3, but I have a feeling, and this is, you could file this one under predictions. My predictions are usually about 70% correct. So, my prediction, the last really big Wii game to come out is going to be Pikmin 3. So, we'll put that in your pipe and smoke it. Here's a sad bit of news story. Jerry Lawson died at the age of 70 of a heart attack. If you don't know who he is basically the inventor of modern video games. Of course, you might be familiar with Ralph Baer, who's still holding in there at 89 years old. He invented video games, so to speak, when he created the Magnavox Odyssey. But Jerry Lawson was the creator of the first cartridge-based video game console, the Fairchild Channel F, which was originally called the Fairchild Video Entertainment System. They renamed it to Channel F when Atari was coming out with their console, the Video Computer System, which ironically later became named as the Atari 2600 and sort of stole the thunder from the Channel F. There was this follow-up to the Channel F, but that one wasn't really a big hit. But he did pioneer the standard media, the cartridge. He died of a heart attack. He was 70 years old, so that's pretty big. His contributions to video games first began with the game Demolition Derby, which was an arcade machine that he created in his garage while working for Fairchild. Then, of course, later on he created the cartridges. It was a mechanism that allowed you to put the cartridges in without destroying the semiconductors. They were afraid that on multiple insertion that it would ruin the cartridges, but he's the one that figured out how to make it all work. So nobody had the capability of plugging in memory devices in mass quantity like in a consumer product until he came along. There were 26 cartridges released for the Fairchild F. They were simple games like Blackjack, Space War, and Bowling. Atari came out with their system. Channel F became obsolete. Like I said, they tried to follow up. Didn't really work out too well. The Fairchild Channel F may be a footnote in gaming, but it was one of the most important video game consoles of all time, and its creator is now laid to rest. I had a little bit of sad news there, but here's some happy news for fans of Grand Theft Auto. I actually have two news stories here about Grand Theft Auto, and they're both good news. The first is that Grand Theft Auto 5 is a thing that's going to happen. An official German GameStop website has shown Grand Theft Auto 5 and a release date not fully confirmed, but they're claiming that Grand Theft Auto 5 will launch January 15th, 2012. We're just waiting on Rockstar to actually confirm this, but it's a pretty big thing that's probably going to be shown at E3. They've been registering domain names, poking fun at corporations like they did in the past, like lifeinvader.com, stoppayingyourmortgage.net, hammersteinfaust.com, sixfiguretemps.com, and cashfordeaddreams.com. These are all owned by Rockstar, and they think that these are going to be used to promote Grand Theft Auto 5. And other Grand Theft Auto news, if you want to catch up on the series, there's a special on Steam called the Rockstar Weekend. If you want to go to store.steampower.com/sale/Rockstar Weekend, you can get Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Auto 2, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and Grand Theft Auto Vice City, all for the price of $7.49. That's not per, that's for the bundle. You're getting 5 games for less than $10. The regular price is $30, so they've marked it down 75%. They're actually throwing the first 2 games at you free, and the others at you for less than $3, so you're getting a really great deal there. Even if you're not that big into the Grand Theft Auto series, you might know someone who is, so this could be a really cheap gift to get somebody. 5 games for less than $10, and these are not like little Angry Birds things. These are really big games, especially San Andreas, so that's kind of a big deal. Here's some news on Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VI will be coming to PlayStation Network in April, but so far only in Japan for now. We don't know if it's going to come to America. This will be based on the 1999 PlayStation version, not the Super NES version, so it will have the same translation and graphics as the PlayStation version. So, it's possible that it may be coming to America soon enough, but the rest of us will have to get Final Fantasy V for PlayStation Network instead, and that one's actually reinvented. That one's a remake. I talked about that last week. But, kind of a big deal for fans of Final Fantasy VI, and there are a lot of them out there. Here's some news from the PAX people, Penny Arcade Expo. They've announced a new event that's going to take place 2 days before PAX Prime, which is August 24th through 25th. It's called PAX Dev. According to their website, they're going to be inviting a small number of game developers, about 750, both of digital and pen and paper games, and they're going to get together and have a powwow. The focus is fostering discussion between developers. No business, no press, just sharing, learning, and debate. We've dedicated 2 days to the developer community for the craft that is game making. PAX Dev is about elevating the art and creating a place to share, debate, and learn. With no press access and space for only 750, developers can speak freely and focus entirely on their trade. A ticket to PAX Dev is going to cost $250 now, or at the door $329. Of course, the main event, PAX Prime, is going to be open to anybody who wants to come. $35 for a day pass, $60 for the weekend. Registration just opened yesterday, and that's August 26th through 28th in Seattle. So there's some good news from PAX. Okay, let's get to the main event. Let's talk about this new Nintendo console, which all week there's been rumors flying around, leaks like crazy, people calling it the Wii 2 and everything. Let me give you kind of the rundown on what's going on. Right now, the new Nintendo console is codenamed Project Cafe. Now, that doesn't mean that one day you're going to have a fucking console in front of your television called the Cafe. You got to remember this is a code name. For example, the original code name of the Wii was the Revolution, and the original code name of the GameCube was the Dolphin. So there you have it. As a matter of fact, you can still see it on codes, DOL for Dolphin. You see that code on the controllers and stuff for GameCube, and you see REV for Revolution on Wii stuff. So, you know, Cafe is what it's called now, but that is just a code name. So, these things that I'm going to tell you are all confirmed by sources close to Nintendo, but haven't been officially announced by Nintendo. So I'm sort of separating the wheat from the chaff, giving you the stuff that I know is true according to reliable sources at this point in time, not rumors, not mock-ups, not speculation. So, it will retain motion control, but it will be better. They're saying that it has higher fidelity than the PlayStation Move. Speaking of the controller will have a screen on it. Now, obviously, the first thing you think of when you think of a controller with a screen on it is the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast had that screen on it, or rather the screen went on the memory unit, and then you slid the memory unit into the controller, and the screen would face you, and it would be used, to show information about the game. But that was a sub-Game Boy quality screen. They're saying that this screen will be HD, it will be 6 inches big, and it will basically be like a little mini television that will allow you to interact with the games in new and interesting ways, and may even be used to stream full games directly to the controller. The console itself will be in HD, and they're saying that the processing power will be significantly greater than the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The disc format will no longer be DVDs. It will be a new high-definition format, possibly Blu-ray, but that has not been confirmed. It will probably not be branded as a Wii. It's probably going to have a completely new name, but it will be backwards compatible and allow you to play Wii games on it. Whether or not it allows you to play GameCube games, I don't know, but it will definitely allow you to play Wii games. It will most likely be shown at this year's E3 and is slated for release sometime in 2012. Probably you're looking at, September, October 2012. Right around the Christmas shopping season. Game developers already have dev kits and are working on launch titles as we speak. And the buzz is that people are very excited about this new console. So, I know a lot of you guys are probably hearing this for the first time. I know a lot of you guys have been hearing the rumors. I'm here to tell you that what I've told you is the confirmed stuff. There's a picture of a controller out there, that came from IGN. It's actually a mock-up. It looks really cool and everything. But all I can confirm is that the controller does indeed have a screen and that it will be 6 inches in size, and they are saying it's high def. Anything else is speculation. Anything else that you've heard might not be true. I'll be keeping with this news story as it develops. Obviously, next week I'll probably have some more news on it, and then of course we'll be taking 6 weeks off, so but when I come back, hopefully there'll be, kind of a big deal. If you guys remember when season 1 ended, and then I did season 2 and had all the E3 stuff to talk about. So hopefully there'll be a lot of big news coming in season 4 for the Project Cafe. So if you want to see the Project Cafe article in IGN, including their mock-up of the controller, you can go to we.ign.com/articles/116221-2p1.html. Or just search on IGN. It's not hard to find. It might be easier to search than to type all that shit down that I just said, but there you have it. So, I mean, these are big rumors, obviously, but they are confirmed by sources close to Nintendo and major news outlets such as Game Informer and IGN, Games Radar. Everybody's talking about this right now, so this is the big thing. So there you have it. Oh, and I did talk about this last week because Reggie was talking about it. It will not be 3D. They're not doing 3D. Reggie said glasses free is a big deal. We've not said publicly what the next thing for us will be in the home console space, but based on what we've learned on 3D, likely that won't be it. They're keeping the 3D for their handhelds. Because really, if they were going to do glasses free 3D for a console, you'd have to have a 3D television. And even then, the 3D televisions require glasses. They would have to make their own 3D televisions, which I think that since they've invented glasses-free 3D, it might be possible that Nintendo can go into that. I don't know if they're willing to do that or if it's even feasible, but that's what's going on there. So that's it for the news. I might actually get this done in less than an hour. Let's see. So I'm going to play a little music. It's going to be from another Wii game. Let's see. What do I got here that I can play for you? How about a little Wario Land Shake It? That was a launch... No, I'm sorry. It wasn't a launch title. That was WarioWare. That was a launch title. But it was an early Wii title. It's the game that I played that convinced me to get the console and has great music. Not many people talk about how great the music in Wario Land Shake It is. But if any Wii game should be noted for its soundtrack other than Super Smash Bros. Brawl, it should be Wario Land Shake It. So I'm going to play a little music from that, and then we'll end the show as we always do with the sales figures. Wario Land Shake It, aka Wario Land Shake Dimension for the Wii. That's Hurry Up, also known as Level 3-4. If there was ever a game that had a really wide variety of different styles of music in it, it was Wario Land Shake It. It's got everything that you could imagine. Loads of different types of music, and they're all really good songs like that one. So let's get to the sales figures in the show, on time for once, hey? That's pretty cool, huh? So we're going to start, as we always do, with the top 10 best-selling games in America. And this is for the week ending in April 9th. The number one best-selling game was Pokemon, black and white version for the DS. Sold 132,972 copies. At number 2, Wii Sports for the Wii sold 60,712 copies. At number 3, Just Dance 2 for the Wii sold 59,564 copies. At number 4, Wii Sports Resort for the Wii sold 53,104 copies. At number 5, Crisis 2 for Xbox 360 sold 47,038 copies. At number 3, Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition for the 3DS sold 44,554 copies. At number 7, Kinect Adventures for the Xbox 360 sold 39,541 copies. At number 8, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 12, The Masters for Xbox 360 sold 38,029 copies. At number 9, Super Mario All-Stars Limited Edition making a comeback for the Wii with 37,671 copies. And number 10, Zumba Fitness for the Wii selling 36,565 copies. Definitely a Wii-centric list this week. In Japan, the number one best-selling game was Chikyu Boigun 2 Portable for the PSP that sold 63,939 copies. And number 2, Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 2 Professional for the DS sold 43,196 copies. And number 3, Amagami for the PSP sold 23,251 copies. And number 4, Final Fantasy IV Complete Collection for the PSP sold 20,352 copies. And number 5, Shin Sengoku Musu 6, also known as Dynasty Warriors 7, sold 17,408 copies. That's on PlayStation 3. And number 6, Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, also known as Monster Hunter Freedom 3 for PSP, sold 12,698 copies. And number 7, Kimi mi Todoki Sutero Kimochi for the DS. That's, I don't have a translation. It sold 11,172 copies. At number 8, Nintendogs Plus Cats for the 3DS sold 11,013 copies. At number 9, Dissidia Duodecim Final Fantasy for the PlayStation Portable sold 9,059 copies. And number 10, Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity for PSP sold 8,418 copies. The best-selling game in Europe was Pokemon Black and White for the DS, selling 85,408 copies. At number 2, Wii Sports Resort for the Wii sold 40,547 copies. At number 3, Wii Sports for the Wii sold 40,300 copies. At number 4, Crisis 2 for Xbox 360 sold 39,842 copies. At number 5, Crisis 2 for the PlayStation 3 sold 37,568 copies. At number 6, Zumba Fitness for the Wii sold 30,106 copies. At number 7, Need for Speed Shift 2 Unleashed for the PlayStation 3 sold 28,732 copies. At number 8, Homefront for Xbox 360 sold 26,219 copies. At number 9, Art Academy for the DS sold 23,830 copies. And at number 10, Need for Speed Shift 2 Unleashed for Xbox 360 sold 23,703 copies. For hardware in America, the number one selling console was the 3DS, selling 138,050 units, followed by the Xbox 360 with 72,527 units, the Wii with 60,712 units, the DS with 51,000. After that was the PS3 with 56,689 units. Then comes the DS with 51,624 units, and the PSP with 20,691 units.
In Japan, the number one best-selling console was actually the PSP for the first time in a while by very small margin. 33,718 units sold to the 3DS's 33,054 units sold. After that, the PS3, 20,418 units. The DS, 17,103 units. The Wii, 8,438 units. And the Xbox 360, 1,720 units. In Europe, the top best-selling console was the 3DS, selling 77,596 units, followed by the PlayStation 3 with 61,823 units, the Wii, 46,697 units, the DS, 44,117 units, the Xbox 360, 40,901 units, and the PSP, 22,938 units. So worldwide, best-selling console was the 3DS, followed by PlayStation 3, Wii, Xbox 360, DS, and PSP. Also, and here's a new feature I'll be doing from now on, worldwide best-selling game, Pokemon Black and White, followed by Wii Sports Resort, Crisis 2, and Just Dance 2 coming in at number 5. So that'll be the show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week with the fucking season finale, bitches. See you then.